Welcome to this edition of the Eric Squared Circle Show. My name is Eric. I'm here with my friend Eric. How are you today, Mr. Robinson? And by the way, that's Eric Robinson.
And that's Eric Ozio. I know you.
Yes, I am. I am that person. I am.
100% that person.
I'm drinking a soda, for which I'm not going to show what it is. I don't want that kind of drama.
I mean, you can. It's fine.
Just guess what it is. It's sweet though.
It's a Pepsi.
I shouldn't be drinking them, but I'm all cooped up. The only excitement I get now is eating. Is just eating a good hearty meal.
Right.
That's pretty much the standard excitement that I have. And if I find something good on Netflix, Hulu, or something, or we're doing our show. We're doing the show. That's exciting.
Yeah, we are. So I'm a snacker, right? Okay, so basically I'm that guy that will have 5, 6, 7, 8 snacks, and next thing you know, it's still 2:30 in the afternoon. It's just, I don't know. All I can do, like, quarantine life just makes you want to, like you said, binge TV and binge eat. So
I need to read more. That's for sure, and I'll do it. I'll start reading more.
Yeah.
Start today, maybe tomorrow. I don't know yet.
What you reading?
But yeah, that's something I still have to figure out.
You should get JR's book.
JR, his autobiography.
Yeah. Under the Black Hat.
Under the Black Hat, because he
rave reviews coming in right now, man.
He usually wears a hat, the black hat.
He does. Yeah.
But again, welcome. We are the Eric Squared Circle Show. We talk wrestling. Today and tomorrow is WrestleMania 36. We are spending our entire program today on Saturday, April 4th, this morning, talking on the 36th annual Granddaddy of them all for our episode 26. So yeah, we are the smarkiest podcast in wrestling right now. I don't care what anyone says.
I'd like to think so, yeah.
And then if this is your first time listening, please reach out to us. Please just say, hey, send us an email. Send us a tweet. Send us a Grammy message. Gram message. Is that what it's called? The Gram.
The Gram of Insta.
That stuff. Just find out. Right. We follow a lot of Reddit pages. Yeah, we love it. But unlike anything else in the history of WrestleMania, and really the history of pro wrestling, and since that's what we're speaking on, WrestleMania has already been filmed. It was taped about a week ago. I haven't been privy to any rumors as to what happened in the Performance Center, but I know that has happened. It has happened. And we are going to find out tonight, starting at 7, and tomorrow, starting at 7, how the entire show is going to unfold, obviously, with no crowd. And WrestleMania is routinely known for their massive crowds.
So here's what we do know. WWE is going to set a number of records tonight with this show. This is going to be the smallest venue to ever host a WrestleMania. This is going to be the lowest attendance record for a WrestleMania. This is going to be the first WrestleMania to take place over 2 nights. And this is going to be the first WrestleMania to be taped. And this is going to be the WrestleMania that has set the most records. So what a weird time to be alive right now, dude.
It's ironic. It's like records. You have a record from a record.
Shattering it.
Interesting. Yes, it definitely is. Stands above the rest, I guess. Who knows? Maybe it'll actually be the most technically sound WrestleMania we've ever seen.
I mean, the one thing that, can come out of WWE presenting WrestleMania in this manner is the fact that their production value has always been head and shoulders above anything else in the business. And to really put that on display in this type of environment where their back really is against the wall and trying to get out a compelling, entertaining show over the course of 2 nights and pre-tape it and try to do it before restrictions are put in place that they can't control. So for them to have pulled off a 16 match card across multiple locations in Florida and do it in the span of 2-3 days while adhering to all of the safety measures that are in place, I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I mean, people are going to have their thoughts on whether this was the best thing to do as far as to keep going, but here we are, and I'm genuinely intrigued to see what it is that they're going to do tonight. And I see you want to show off your Bootios t-shirt there, bud.
Oh yeah, yeah. So former WrestleMania hosts, WrestleMania 33 on Orlando.
They are.
So we have a new host for the show, Rob Gronkowski. Again, we have discussed this in previous episodes. We are going to officially see it tonight and tomorrow, how Mr. Gronk handles, because he always plays to a crowd. Gronk loves playing to a crowd. Yeah. That's what he did for 9 years in the NFL as well. What's it going to be like? Basically just playing a room, almost like being in a poetry bar. See how it goes.
Yeah.
Interested to see how he reacts.
And I think that you
has already done. I don't know how to say it anymore.
I think that you really hit it on the head there because, Gronk is used to, playing and being in the stadiums and in that environment once a week for, 17 weeks and beyond, given, his career with the Patriots. And now we're going from that to, you could even see it in the first time he debuted on SmackDown, that as he's making his walk, like he's trying to play up to a crowd that isn't there. So that's definitely going to take some getting used to. I would hope that this is a chance to kind of see what Gronk can do as an entertainer, because, while I expect that there might be a touch of physicality, maybe throwing a punch or something, as far as Gronk goes, him being able to try to tone it down a little bit is not quite the debut that we expected for him. And I think that I would have probably billed it as a special appearance by Rob Gronkowski, but not making him a full-fledged host of the show, just because it seems like he's out, and I hope that he does. I feel like he's kind of grasping at, again, straws that aren't going to be there as far as a crowd, and trying to kind of still do those Rob Gronkowski things that he's used to doing. So I am intrigued to see how he adapts to toning it down in a pre-taped environment. It would not surprise me if Vince was very hands-on in, coaching him as far as what he should be doing in this role as a host of WrestleMania. But I'm excited. I think that, Gronk has an interest in wrestling. He doesn't, and I could be wrong, but I don't know that he was a fan growing up. But even if he wasn't, it's something that he enjoys now, gets a kick out of, and seems to have a real appreciation for. So I'm excited to see what it is that he's going to be doing, not just tonight, but if this is the catalyst to setting up a cool feud that doesn't involve King Corbin. Yeah, but we'll see.
I think he'll get some heat. I hope, because he always loves getting the heat, and I want to see a little feuding. We'll see how it goes, and see how it goes with Gronk's performance over the next 2 nights. Well, the performance that has already been taped, and how the production values are going to stack up to compared, when they have a much larger scale. It's obviously not going to be like that. You don't have 80,000 screaming fans that you have to account for. It's a lot more subverted. Shrinking, if you will. I don't know what the right one is. Shrunk, I guess.
Sure. Yeah.
Shrunk.
We'll go with that one.
I like shrinking better. Shrinking.
But I did read this morning that Vince was strongly considering still holding WrestleMania inside Raymond James Stadium, even if it would have been empty. That would have been the biggest mistake, I think, of...
That would have been weird.
At least in the last, 10 years when it comes to decision-making by Vince. I mean, if not ever.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
There is no point to that. I mean, that...
Because, again, going through and watching these AEW events, all these episodes that they can do until, the government shuts them down completely if they have to. they just have like 3 or 4 or 5 guys from the locker room come out and just chant things that would be randomly chanted by fans, obviously friendly things, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you do miss that, the bad guy's going against the good guy. When the good guy hits him, it's like, yeah. The bad guy hits him, it's boo. And like some of those will get going back and forth, and it's really great, funny. And then just the chants, especially at AEW shows, like the fans like really get behind and get a message to the cable network or whatever pay-per-views air, or whatever pay-per-view it is, describing their disappointment or their angst or their happiness, and none of that's going to be present. So I feel like that's going to be a dynamic that unfortunately is going to hurt it. But if you go into something knowing that, then your expectations can be more in line with what's going to happen. It's also a bummer that just so many things trickle down from WrestleMania. It feeds so many mouths in the industry, in the WWE. Hall of Fame completely postponed. Who knows if another Big Four pay-per-view potentially could air it. And then you mentioned to me also that NXT will be taking place. The NXT takeover will be taking place over the next few weeks on Wednesday nights, which could help them in the Wednesday Night Wars potentially. But give me your thoughts on the events this weekend and all the other events that go around this WrestleMania, just from everything that's going on with the COVID-19.
The Rona. But I mean, a couple of things. First, I think the one thing I'm going to miss the most this year is definitely the fact, the chance. We were supposed to get the "You Still Got It" for Edge during his Last Man Standing match. Even though he came back at the Rumble and we hear it then, and we get that pop. That's a multi-man match. This is an Edge one-on-one match for the first time in 9 years, and to be able to see that emotion and see his face, like, we're gonna miss the reaction he's gonna get to walk back out on a WrestleMania stage to compete, something we didn't think that he was ever gonna do again. And it was supposed to be this just beautifully written first chapter of a second act in Edge's career, and now we're not gonna get that. This Is Awesome, Fight Forever, all the traditional ones, and just kind of missing that worldwide audience and just the electricity that comes with watching a WrestleMania. I don't know. I mean, it's indescribable. I mean, fans associate WrestleMania. It means different things to everybody, but having that engagement and seeing that crowd and everything that just kind of comes along with it, and not having that is going to really, really take some adjustment. I mean, even as we sit here, right now doing this, I mean, we're about, 8 hours away, 8.5 hours away from the show kicking off, and we're still trying to get a sense of, I mean, how is this going to look? What are they going to do to make this something that people don't tune out on? And even taking that aside, this show was supposed to be monumental, even on the business side of WWE right now, because there were rumors that Vince wanted to try to put this on an ESPN Plus, or sell the pay-per-view rights to Disney, maybe put on Hulu, something along those lines, as far as seeing what he can get at least for that show. Which ties back into a little bit of what we tried to talk about in January with Barrios and Wilson getting the boot, because Vince, seems to be done with WWE Network and not wanting to use that as an outlet to generate revenue. I mean, even tonight, Fight TV is going to show WrestleMania, something that if all things in the world right now weren't happening, would never be the case, because they're hosting AEW shows. But now WrestleMania, they're putting it up for like $39.99 or something like that on Fight TV each night. I'd rather pay the $10 on the network, and that's got to be irking Vince, I think. And now he wants to try to experiment with other ways to generate revenue, and it's just kind of a weird time right now, as far as trying to figure out what we're going to get out of this show tonight, because a lot's riding on it. they had postponed this, then we'd probably be in the position of, seeing, okay, this entire, 2, 3, 4 months of storytelling now has to either be extended or scrapped altogether or paused, and it's virtually impossible in a show that prides itself on going week after week after week. So this is I'm giving a long-winded answer to your question of what I think about what they're doing with this show right now, and I apologize. But there's a lot of moving parts that kind of come with this show and the decision to keep it going. But I'm optimistic. I think that we will be genuinely entertained just because that is what WWE knows how to do in times like these.
Yeah, and again, it's the only thing that's on, really, in terms of sports media, sports entertainment.
Dude, you can get on DraftKings and do WrestleMania pick'ems if you got a few bucks to spare.
If you're feeling crazy. And Sports Center ain't got nothing to talk about. There ain't no sports. The only thing they're talking about is NFL free agency.
But they did move up that 30 for 30 though.
Which one?
So it's supposed to be a 10-part series on the 6th and final Bulls ring.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Because LeBron tweeted that it should come out. There's nothing wrong with it, and everybody needs something to watch.
Yeah.
So thanks, LeBron.
Yeah, we should all thank LeBron for something. Here's a question. Before we go into our picks, and we'll go through all 16.
Yes,
give us our picks, and we'll see. Again, this will go into our pool, not our pool, but our year-long record we're going to keep, starting with WrestleMania.
Yes.
We mentioned, I think, on episode 23 or 24, we're going to do our records accumulated. And again, you are welcome to join in on this. You could start this WrestleMania, get your picks in for each night. If you start on the second night, that's perfectly fine. But just send it into the ericsquaredcircle at gmail.com. But again, I ask you, should the WWE / any other major wrestling promotion go on hiatus after this weekend?
I really don't think that they have a choice in this. I really don't. Florida has worked out very, very well for WWE at this point in time, and actually AEW too, because of Daly's place being in Jacksonville. But now that Florida has issued a national stay-at-home mandate, and people have thoughts on the timing of it as to whether it should have been sooner, and it definitely should have been. But both companies were taking advantage of the fact that there was no order in place. One thing that people are going to criticize WWE for, WWE getting the brunt of this, as far as having stories out there about the fact that they are continuing with WrestleMania and doing things that people think are harming the safety and well-being of their performers. They, Triple H went on record saying that they have, sterilizing teams coming in and cleaning, scrubbing the place down at night. They're using UV light sanitization. Did I say that word? Sanitizing. Yeah. Sanitization is the word I'm going with right now. And really taking steps each night after the facility is cleared out to ensure that it's clean, spotless, that it's safe for people to perform. Skeleton crews, taking temperatures, people that are ill or showing symptoms of illness, not necessarily COVID-19, to stay home. And we're going to get to how that impacts some of these matches here, going forward when we give our predictions. But AEW is running shows too. And they continue to tape and do all of the same things, at Daly's place because they have access to it due to the Khan family. So it's I do find it, frustrating at times when, WWE gets the brunt of it and criticized for labor practices, which, in some respects, they do deserve some of that criticism. And I've really only thought about this because a buddy of mine showed me an article that Vice wrote about the fact that WrestleMania is continuing on. And, I think that, my thing is, yes, it's continuing on because even though social distancing is being practiced, people are saying, that the company is standing behind talent's decisions, whether or not to participate in this show. And a lot of wrestlers have gone on record, including Becky Lynch, including Seth Rollins, saying, you know what, we're all over the world. We travel all the time. We're exposed to a lot of stuff as it is anyway. We know how to wash our hands. We know how to maintain the safe distancing. We're going to do what we can to continue to do our jobs. And Seth Rollins saying, I'm just grateful to have a job that still needs me during this time. So we have to look at it from that that respect too, of there are people that want to work, because even with WWE being having guaranteed contracts, a lot of the lower talents on the card may not have that luxury of saying, I'm not going to perform, or if you need me, I'm not going to do it.
Think about all the people they're not needing for the crowds. They're going to be there at the show this weekend. How much people make, how many event runners and community people make or volunteer or get back, because of this show, or they make revenue in terms of taxes or on the actual stadium itself, or just whatever. All the stuff that goes into it, those people that have the ability to go in and serve others and get money, all that's going to be gone. So yeah, it's very it's tough to go on hiatus because you're losing all that opportunity, but it seems like the government will force them to.
WrestleMania is one of those events that just by hosting in that city generates hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue for that host city. And not only that, but WWE is slated to usually make $20 to $25 million off of the gate and merchandise just at WrestleMania alone. And that's not even counting tickets to the Hall of Fame, tickets to TakeOver, merchandise at both of those shows, and gates at Raw, SmackDown, and merch sales there. So, this is a big risk on WWE's part, and this is definitely going to hurt on their balance sheet come. This is going to hurt Q2. I mean, I'd have to imagine, just because the biggest show of the year, they can't do in the way that they're used to doing.
I feel like, I feel like everybody's Q2 is some serious hurt right now. I know my company that had to do what they had to do is probably hurting right now. But I will say we can focus on the things that we can focus on. What do you want? What is it? What do you got to say? What is it?
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I do want to just kind of make sure that we throw this out there since you did bring that up. We are in a time where a lot of people are still trying to find ways to make ends meet. So, again, to wrestlers, referees, managers, anybody in the business right now, if you have links to your merchandise pages, please, email us, ericsquaredcircle@gmail.com, share them on our Facebook page, hit us up on Twitter. We want to help support you guys. I've bought a few things over the last couple of days, trying to, support wrestlers that, may not have their day jobs at this point in time right now, given everything that's going on, and would like to try to continue to do so. And we encourage everybody to do the same. So again, if you've got links to merchandise pages, please do not hesitate to provide those to us, and we'll certainly share them as well.
That being said, we do want to go over our predictions and analyzation of the Showcase of the Immortals this year, the 36th granddaddy of them all. We will discuss in full here on episode 26 of the Eric Squared Circle Show, and give you the opportunity to give us your feedback this weekend as the show progresses. Also put our picks up on our Facebook page. Make sure to check that out. I like how Mr. Robinson on our outline for this show has given me the number 2 spot for every single match, because I'm number 2, he's number 1 for some reason. I'm not 2.
I mean,
I like to be difficult. But anyways, these are in no particular order. This is just the full card that is WrestleMania 36. We're just going to go in the order that Mr. Robinson, number 1, has ordered them. The first match
you mean Eric, number 1.
Who is me, but you just have yourself listed as number 1. Anyways.
Well, that should tell you how I really feel, doesn't it? Come on, let's go.
Take it easy there, fella. The first
Hey, you
match.
take it easy there. Don't call me fella, friend.
The first match is the incumbent, the champion, Brock Lesnar versus the Scottish psychopath Drew McIntyre. The
You didn't say it right.
Drew Boy won the Royal Rumble this past January by not only eliminating Brock Lesnar, who was just thwarting people left and right, but also eliminating Roman Reigns for me to lose my fourth consecutive $5 holler. I know. I believe it's what? What did you say?
You and I have one that I don't think you paid me for back in January.
Of what? Who was this?
I'm gonna have to go back and find it. But this is the perfect opportunity to remind everybody that you should go out and check out our 2020 episodes, all on YouTube, available in our archives right now.
Do it. Yes. So McIntyre, not backing down from Lesnar this whole time, has given him several claymores in the road to WrestleMania before this whole crisis shutdown, and has been continuously facing him. Lesnar will be out of Canada and has been in the States. They have faced each other, and we will find out what happened either tonight or tomorrow night. I'm going to guess it's going to be the Sunday night show, one of the Sunday night matches.
Can I say how excited I am for the fact that there are like next to no legit spoilers that have come out in the last few days about this? We would have found, we would have been, having to do the turning off notifications and, basically warning everybody not to.
Well, they keep it in the Performance Center. They can keep it all on lockdown. Nobody can go in there. It's not like they need a whole lot of space. Personally, I feel like I don't know if we mentioned this on a previous episode, but I feel like if this was in Raymond James Stadium and we were in the 80,000+ people, we would have Drew McIntyre, the Scottish psychopath, winning the WWE Championship. But unfortunately, I do have Brock Lesnar winning at the Performance Center.
So I completely disagree.
I love it when we disagree. That's the best part.
I know.
So I'm going to go ahead and put you for the Scottish psychopath.
This is how much I disagree, and I'll up the ante here after I finish my my thoughts on this. But
oh boy,
Drew McIntyre is finally being positioned as the next kind of face of this company for these 2020s, so to speak. We really, it's been a while since we've really felt like we've had a couple of names that absolutely stand out. It's usually a jumbled, muddled mess that usually has Roman Reigns at the top of a list of talent, and everything that they've done, and a lot of credit goes to Paul Heyman for how he has crafted this storyline to play out on Raw over these last 3 months, and doing just enough to get us excited for a physical clash, having Brock look dominant in the Royal Rumble and creating a tale of two halves of that match in a way that, polarized the internet for an hour and then won everybody back by the end of the night. And it was just so great. But Drew McIntyre has been on a roll. Finally, this babyface thing that they've got going for him right now, where he's kind of really getting a little bit more of his personality into this character and coming off as a better babyface than he did in NXT. There's no reason not to still pull the trigger on this, because if you don't for some reason, then we've got another 3 months of trying to figure out who is next to challenge Brock Lesnar. So since you want Brock Lesnar to win this match, for the sake of this hypothetical, let's say that he does. Who's his next challenger? Who is there that he has not taken on that can credibly take the title off of him? That isn't Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns, because I don't really want to see either of those two against Brock Lesnar.
If he's ever healthy, Samoa Joe, but he's never healthy. And Braun Strowman, but he's had so many times, it's not believable anymore. There's no credibility there.
And we're going to come back to that.
But, I don't know. I'm just going with my WWE gut, my smart gut, and I just think they're just going to continue with Lesnar. But I definitely see your argument. I just don't want to be prideful. I want to be prideful and not take back my suggestion to what.
How Okay,
him
so
winning.
you don't want to put a $5 howl on this?
No, I'm not putting against McIntyre again. No way,
Okay,
Jose.
all right. Okay. You're no
I
fun.
mean, I'll still stick with Lesnar winning, but I'm not gonna bet against McIntyre again, like I did at the
Fine.
Rumble.
Fine. Whatever. Okay. Lame.
The next match that Mr. Robinson has listed on our
Speaking of Braun Strowman,
speaking of Braun Strowman, good segue. He has replaced Roman Reigns in the WWE Blue Universal Championship. Get what I did there?
there
Blue
you go.
Universal. I am firmly convinced Goldberg is going to defeat Braun Strowman. The only question in my mind is how long it actually will be and how many spears he will actually take. So that's I don't think the build for this has been there at all. Obviously, with Roman being out, and
There's absolutely no
see
build.
Braun
No,
Strowman.
you're right.
I don't see Braun Strowman winning at all.
So I am that guy that thinks, there are two things that you can more or less count on in WWE. If there is a replacement superstar in a major match or a major angle, or there is a I lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
Goldberg
Anyway,
and Braun Strowman.
that's right. Okay, so two things you can count on in addition to death and taxes in this world. If you're in your hometown, you're going to be booked to lose. And two, if you're a replacement in a match, then you're going to win that match generally. Braun Strowman is one of those guys that has had that start and stop push for so long that it's so tough to buy into what he's doing right now. And even having the Intercontinental Championship didn't necessarily do all that much to elevate him because he lost it to Sami Zayn. And I predicted that Sami Zayn would not that the three would win that handicap match, and I predicted that Sami would get the cover and become the Intercontinental Champion. I did predict that.
Episode 23, I believe. You can check that out. Eric does predict that Sami Zayn would be the one running off with the Intercontinental Championship, and that is exactly what happened. But Mr. Robinson,
but did I
interrupt you?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't say interruption, no, but okay. Just to kind of finish that particular point, Braun is, yes, a suitable replacement for this match. However, losing his Intercontinental title in that fashion hurts him to some degree. So I am still I didn't predict Goldberg because I see it in the Google Docs right now. Editing. I'm not.
You don't
saying
have
Goldberg
to actually say it. This is our document, guy.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't
matter. Like you were going down that road of picking Goldberg. If we
it's
can
okay.
disagree again, I'm happy to disagree with you.
And it's going to become a spreadsheet soon. Thank you very much. So, all right.
I got Excel on my computer. It's good
Actually,
stuff.
No, I should prepare a PowerPoint presentation as to why we should do an Excel sheet. Drew Gulak would be proud. But anyway, so I'm going to call that Braun Strowman wins the Universal Championship in this match simply because of kind of what we said in this last match with Brock Lesnar. We've got two part-time champions right now. Who else are you going to get other than Roman, and how are you going to build another 3 months of TV when you don't know where things are going to go right now in the current environment as to when and if you can return to filming anytime soon? I think that this is a good way to try to build it up. Goldberg gets another nostalgia moment and gets to redeem himself after almost dropping Undertaker on his head. Everybody goes home happy.
I love when we don't agree. It makes it more entertaining. Makes it more entertaining because I will be 2-0. Well, maybe 1-1.
I don't know about that.
You will find out. You'll find out tonight.
I will. Yeah.
You'll find out. You'll all find out. To check into WrestleMania. It's already been.
I'm gonna miss the most.
It hasn't been spoiled. Say again.
One thing I'm gonna miss the most about, and this would have been a great year, like, especially if they wouldn't have decided to do 2 nights without the Rona, getting us in a chokehold here. But I don't know. While yes, WrestleMania is in the air, you can smell it, you can kind of taste it. I don't feel it yet. I'm used to feeling like there's a party environment that everybody's out and kind of doing different things. Like this would have been a great year to have people, and actually, you know what? No, we're gonna do this. Let's take pictures of you watching WrestleMania. Let's see your quarantine mania parties.
I'll put a picture up
Yeah.
because it'll just be me.
Be socially distant, but
Whatever stink bug has snuck into my apartment today.
Going
on to the next match listed on our list here, number 3 of 16, we have the last man standing match. Randy Orton, he's a snake, versus the Rated R Superstar Edge. I can't resist.
That's something else we should have gotten this year was Tony Chimmel introducing Edge for WrestleMania. That's what we were also. That's what we were.
They might.
So actually, it's funny you mentioned that because there is supposed to still be some live aspects of WrestleMania tonight. So I would imagine that would include. I don't like it. Could include that. But I would also think that we'll see a lot of people either on Skype or Zoom or doing some kind of video chat kind of thing.
And if Skype or Zoom me, do you want to Skype me, Mr. Robinson? While I watch WrestleMania.
Yeah, I was planning on asking you anyway, so
I got the Bixter Xbox Live in me, so we can Skype it up.
Very nice.
Watch some Mania 36. But I'm gonna go ahead and give you my prediction. I think since I'm number 2 on all the list, it seems like your predictions are more valid. I'm gonna go ahead and say Randy Orton wins this match, but it's gonna be a great match. I think it's gonna be a great match to boost Randy, and Edge is gonna look real strong, but unfortunately, I think he will take the L tonight.
So I'm really excited for this match. Edge, this isn't the return that we wanted. That's okay. I'm fine with that because it's a return that I never thought I was gonna get. Edge is one of those names that often comes up when you think about everything that's happened in WWE from 2011 to now. The matches that he could have had with people that have come and gone over the years, the possibilities are endless. Who knows how many more world title reigns he would have had in him before deciding to hang it up, and all that's up for speculation. I'm so happy to see Edge back in this match. I think that this is one that's also going to take on a little bit of a theatrical nature as well, a little bit more so than your traditional singles matches, just because there's a lot more that you can do and have fun with if it's taped. So Edge, I don't see how you can pick against him in this match, just because I don't think that this was meant to be a program longer than WrestleMania. At this point, there's after this one blow off match, Edge getting his comeuppance for everything that Randy has done, and in the most epic fashion of a last man standing match. I see no reason for them to draw this feud out any longer, really. We don't really know the particulars of Edge's contract over the next few years, or how many matches that includes, but I would imagine that they'll probably build another another program in come SummerSlam or Survivor Series if he decides to take a little bit of time off and see how he recovers after this match. But yeah, I gotta go Edge here.
Another disagreeal. I was not expecting that. I will say I thought we were both going to go Orton there, but that's cool. I like this snake. He's a snake. I like snakes. Now, we're going to talk the women's matches, championships, a couple of the women's championship matches. First one, the big one, I guess you can say the main one. If they are any of the main ones.
Yeah.
For the Raw Women's Championship, the incumbent / champion, the incumbent, Becky Lynch versus this psycho cannibal, it seems, Shayna Baszler.
The Queen of Spades, sir.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Put some respect on her name.
I mean, she is eating Becky a little bit, biting her and doing some stuff. That's nasty. But we got a fairly decent build up to a feud for a match that's going to be pretty emotionally intense. Baezer brings the intensity. I think I want to let you pick this one first because I'm kind of on the fence a little bit right now.
There's really only one choice here.
I'm a little on the fence. Go ahead.
Shayna Baszler walks out. Baszler walks out with the Raw Women's Championship, no question. She is the most dominant woman on the roster, bar none, right now. They've booked her to be an absolute force. And here's where I see this going with Shayna. And forgive me for the tangent that I'm about to go on. But when you really look at the build to this match, over the last few months, Shayna has gotten the edge on Becky Lynch, made a statement on her Raw debut by, pulling out this biting of the neck angle. And they really, really, really outdid themselves with the presentation of the blood and everything to really make Shayna look just like this savage beast of a performer. And not only that, but to go in the Elimination Chamber, a match that really wasn't necessary to begin with. I think that chamber match should have been reserved for the SmackDown Women's Championship. I would have started slow burning the Bayley-Sasha split in that match, as opposed to what they've done to get to their match this weekend as well, and we'll come back to that. But Shayna was booked to be the first person to eliminate every single competitor in the field in an Elimination Chamber match. You don't do something like that to not, finish that story and put the championship on her. I still think because at this point, we still haven't seen Ronda Rousey come back. We have not seen.
She's definitely not going to now. This time,
I wouldn't say that.
Just now, like in the sense that what's going on in the world.
So no. So it's actually a good thing that you mentioned that, because she is in the middle of negotiating her contract right now, and that could have included a visit to the Performance Center during the taping of the segment. We won't know because they've been great about spoilers not getting out. And I think that, any surprise return or any surprise moment that we get this weekend heavily under wraps, because they have the capability of controlling that without a fan with a camera, But anyway,
I'd
Ronda
say I'm going to go with.
Hold on.
Oh, I thought you
were. No,
he said ran everybody.
I said tangent is what I said. They're two different things.
I don't know if one's better than the other.
Anyway, tangent's better. Anyway, so I could see Ronda coming back, costing Becky this match, and then somehow getting towards the Ronda Shayna match. I think that we'll likely get that at SummerSlam, because when it's easy to hate Shayna Baszler. It's very easy to hate Shayna Baszler. She is so good at that. And Ronda, basically until she got mixed up with the Horsewomen, was a fan favorite. Everybody was excited to see what it is that she could do. I mean, if you listen to the pop that she got at WrestleMania 34, just making her debut in that tag team match, everybody wants to get behind her. It was only until Becky Lynch started to get over that people kind of had a problem with her, that she kind of steered into that skid. So I think if we can get Ronda Rousey versus Shayna Baszler for the Raw Women's Championship, that's a money Raw main event. It's something new that we haven't seen in a while. These women, excuse me. Yeah, apologies. I know, but what they can do together because of the relationship that they have, you can really build a story on that. And for Shayna to come out and turn on her friend and really kind of make this a, so to speak, think Mean Girls. Think, what if Katie had actually kicked Regina out of the plastics, and here we are now, and there's this entire crew, because we've had Marina Shafir, we've had Jessamine Duke on the roster for a long time, and they've really backed up Shayna Baszler. Do you really think that they're going to switch sides right now when they've got the most dominant champion that WWE has seen in their women's division in quite some time, leading the pack and taking on Ronda Rousey and making it look like child's play?
After the tangent, I'm gonna also pick Shayna Baszler just because. Yeah, I mean, I could see how they're building her up to be like this super badass, and Becky's had several runs, and this has been a pretty good long one at this time. I feel like Baszler has put in her dues at this point to take the win.
So let me ask you this before we move on to the next match, because at this point we will have seen Becky Lynch walk out of WrestleMania 35 as Raw and SmackDown Women's Champion, walk into WrestleMania 36 as Raw Women's Champion. What do you think about the year of the man, and what she's done as far as stepping up and leading the women's division and becoming a face of WWE?
I think it's been great for her career, but it's also kind of a curse because oversaturation, people can get kind of sick of it, and you'd hate for her to become a byproduct of that. But her gimmick's still strong, and she still is over like Rover with the majority of the fans. I think maybe a slight wardrobe change or attitude change, maybe a little bit, but other than that, I think she's set herself up pretty well, and it's time to not be champion for a little while, kind of go off of your own steam.
And she is set to take some time off after WrestleMania, at least from what we heard, and that was the plan, I think, even before everything has gone on.
She's going to lose, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a fantastic year for Becky Lynch, and of the four horsewomen I mean, when you really look at all of them, we knew that we had stars in Charlotte Flair and Sasha Banks, but over the last year, the fact that we've seen Becky Lynch and Bayley kind of spin out on their own and reclaim their careers and their personas of sorts, and kind of steer into what works for them, and really to have spun out four legit single stars that you now have confidence in as champions over the next 5, 7, 10 years. Again, no shortage of credit to Triple H and to Bruce Pritchard, Paul Heyman, everything that these guys are doing to make them look like $1 million. I'm excited to see where 2020 takes Becky Lynch. I'm excited to see where it takes Shayna Baszler. But I think that after having a spectacular year that Becky Lynch has had, year and a half plus at this point, really, it's time to do the honors.
It certainly is, and we're sticking to the women's division matches, which I believe are 4 on this card. Yes. Raw women's, SmackDown women's, NXT women's, and the tag team. We're going to talk now on the NXT Women's Championship, and then we'll come back for the SmackDown and Tag Team Women's Championship later in the episode. We have a first time where a WWE superstar, an already Hall of Famer in Charlotte Flair in her short time as a WWE superstar, facing off against an NXT superstar for an NXT Championship, on the premise that Charlotte was already beaten both SmackDown and Raw champions, so she sees it as commonplace and there's no point, so she finally accepts Rhea Ripley's challenge to take her on for the NXT Championship. Rhea Ripley is the current NXT Women's Championship. She wants all the gold. She did, after interrupting her at Portland a few weeks ago, she accepted that challenge. We're going to see the Queen versus Rhea Ripley. I'm not sure on this one, because just seeing both going both ways. Charlotte has been NXT champion before, so it's not like she hasn't had this. So it's not anything she has to cross off her list. It's just a person she has not defeated yet.
Yeah.
She hasn't crossed them off the list.
This is another one of those matches that I am, again, just super bummed that we are not going to have a live audience providing the soundtrack for this night, because Rhea Ripley is going to defeat Charlotte Flair and retain her NXT championship. There's just no question about it. Charlotte Flair has done everything that there is to do in wrestling right now. Again, you already said Hall of Famer. If she walked away tomorrow, Hall of Famer next year. There's just no question about it. However, there's no need for her to go back to NXT. Charlotte Flair as NXT champion, NXT Women's Champion, excuse me, would in a sense remind me more of having a Brock Lesnar or a Bill Goldberg, as champion of your brand, simply because Charlotte Flair has become such a name that she has outgrown NXT at this point. Even as a third brand, Charlotte Flair going back just is outside of the realm of possibility, primarily because as hard as they are working, as hard as they're, trying to build new challengers in Io Shirai and Bianca Belair and Candice LeRae, and the list continues to go on, Mia Yim, Shotzi Blackheart, all of these women are working their way up. It's just tough to see that Charlotte would want to be on Full Sail every single week when there is a plethora of talent on Raw and SmackDown that she really hasn't yet had the opportunity to really mix it up with. A few names that I'll throw out there just to have fun with it. Kairi Sane would be one that I'd like to see her work with a little bit more. Dana Brooke could stand to be put over a little bit. If Tamina could stay healthy, that is one brute heel that you've always got that could work against Charlotte, I think. I mean, they need to think outside the box a little bit more, and that's the tough thing with a performer of Charlotte's caliber is, trying to think about, any match or any program that she's in as a box office match, because that is the place that she's got, in wrestling right now. And I don't really see Vince wanting to pluck her from Monday or Friday nights for NXT, for takeover events that just have a different feel than what it is that she projects right now. That's not, if for some reason she were to win this match, that's not to say that they wouldn't, find ways to use her and that I wouldn't be entertained. I just think that Rhea Ripley could use the rub of beating somebody that is a guaranteed Hall of Famer. Charlotte Flair does not lose anything because of taking an L here, especially because when you look at the last 2 years of what she's done at WrestleMania, she ended Asuka's streak and made her tap at WrestleMania, and then triple threat match with Becky and Ronda, and she doesn't have to take the L. I say she takes the L tonight or tomorrow night, this weekend.
Even the best and the most prominent people throughout the history of the WWE take pins. They're going to take the pin. I think it's going to be a very good women's match, potentially the best one of the night.
Without a doubt, yeah.
With that being said, I think it's okay. She takes the L. She hasn't taken a pin, and I honestly can't remember the last time she took a pin. So, I mean, I think it would be really good for Ripley, obviously. And honestly, it would give not credit to Ripley, obviously, going into her build-up post WrestleMania, but it goes to the build-up of the NXT women's division and NXT as a whole to, kind of line themselves out. So I do agree with you that Ripley should and will win. Kind of getting away from the women's. Again, you are listening. I hope you're listening to our YouTube show
and watching.
Watching. You can listen, but mainly as long as you're retaining the information. Our WrestleMania 36 Super Show, episode 26 of the Eric Squared Circle Show here, April 4th, Saturday, 2020. Still stuck in our houses. Seems like for another 26 days.
Hashtag quarantine life.
Whatever. Kind of getting away from the women's matches for just a minute. We got John Cena coming back with really very little build-up to this match, but getting called out by The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, to face who these two have a lot of history together. So it's good. It should be good to see. It's going to be technically sound. Clearly, just so clearly obvious that John Cena is just putting forward, like, building up Bray Wyatt, which is perfectly fine, especially taking the L to Goldberg for the Blue Universal Championship. So I think this is a clear Wyatt win. I think it's clearly they put him on the card because he's John Cena and the whole coronavirus thing, and they have the time, so might as well put him on there to get a guy some serious rub after another tough championship loss for Bray Wyatt. After not that long of a run, unfortunately. I mean, only like 5 months, not even.
So the thing is, I wouldn't necessarily say that there was little build up to this match. I think that it was a more targeted build up, because the crux of the story is Bray Wyatt went off of the rails after losing to John Cena 6 years ago at WrestleMania 30. That is the simplest story that you could tell for a match like this. Cena is one of those guys, much like Undertaker, much like Triple H, has a lot more say in what he does at WrestleMania, if anything. And with the exception of that loss at WrestleMania 30 that Bray took, John Cena has done the honors for Bray Wyatt on a couple of occasions. 2017, that Elimination Chamber match, I mean, Bray Wyatt took out John Cena, if I recall correctly, in the chamber, and it was still mid-match, and we were guaranteed a new champion that night, and there was still more action to go. But then even then, Wyatt putting the title on the line against Cena, a few weeks later, and Cena taking the pin clean again. He has always done right by Bray Wyatt when the situation is called for it. I don't think that this will be any different, especially given the fact that it's a Firefly Funhouse match, which I'm really excited about because, again, without there being a live crowd, they've got to do a little bit more to create, an entertainment-based wrestling match.
Will there be puppets in the crowd? Will there be puppets in the crowd?
I mean, they did it last night. I don't see why they wouldn't do it again.
Tons of puppets.
And the thing, and I'm excited to see kind of, what it is that they do with this, because we've seen, we've kind of just seen that one shot of the Firefly Funhouse, just kind of the setup where Bray is always kind of behind that counter and that main wall behind it. But I'm excited to see what they do to try to make this an actual, an actual house setting, and what they do to pull some creativity out of it, because there will definitely be a lot of theatrics in this match. I don't, if you're going to call it a Firefly Funhouse match, it has to have, all of that stuff in it, much like we saw with the House of Horrors match a few years ago, or the Ultimate Deletion match that Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy had a few years ago. Bray Wyatt wins this one, theatrical affair. I think that we're going to see a lot of stuff that just is mind-boggling, and we're going to have to suspend reality for about 25 minutes more than I think anybody anticipated tonight. But we'll see.
25 minutes, we'll see. Oh man, I don't know if it'll go that long.
I know. I heard it the second it came out of my mouth.
15 minutes maybe. Kind of sticking on the theme of gimmick, theatrical, weird matches. We have the Boneyard match with The Undertaker. We have the Phenom versus the Phenomenal One in AJ Styles. I do
Phenom v Phenomenal.
I do love some Phenomenal. I love the Phenomenal One. I am partial to the Phenom. I like the Undertaker just because of who he is and what he's done for the business. Obviously, we saw at the Super Showdown, the Gauntlet match, Undertaker basically burying AJ Styles with a single choke slam, and then threw down the WrestleMania Challenge in the middle of March. A Boneyard match, I'm not really sure what to expect. We discussed on a previous episode that they might just have actual bones and beating with bones, or they'll just be graves with bones, and I don't know what if the bones are, if it's non-DQ. I'm going to go ahead and select that I do anticipate it being a lot better than a single choke slam match, that AJ Styles is going to get some moves on him. Definitely not going to get in the Styles Clash on him. It's just not going to happen. But I think it's going to be entertaining to a point. We're really going to see what AJ Styles can do with a broom tonight or tomorrow night. The dude literally can wrestle a broom and make it like a 3.5-star match. I can see this being maybe the same, but Undertaker wins 12, 13-minute match maybe.
Yeah, I agree that Undertaker's going to walk out, with the win here. This is one of those matches where Styles in front of a live crowd, given, had this been a normal night at WrestleMania, normal circumstances, the Taker would have had probably one of the best matches he's had in the last few years with AJ Styles, just because he does have that ability to take care and look after whoever it is he's in the ring with, and he would have made the Undertaker look good and would have found ways to accentuate what Taker can do and hide what he can't anymore, just kind of given where he's at in his career. But I think this is going to be another one of those matches that's got some more theatrical elements to it. And over the last few weeks, we've kind of seen the teasing of the American Badass returning, and Biker Taker kind of molding his way into the Undertaker, simply at this point just being, we all know the guy behind the gimmick now at this point. He's been way more active on social media and really kind of bringing his personality out now that he's at this point so far removed from wrestling that it just doesn't matter anymore. We know he's the Undertaker. We know, I mean, he's always going to be a legend, greatest of all time. Insert any one of the adulations and superlatives that he has earned over the last 30 years. But now, he is going to, I think that we are going to start to see the dead man mix a little bit more with the American Badass and make it a little bit more of a, I don't know. I see this match kind of being a Mad Max style, kind of just, apocalyptic kind of vibe, just so that he can weave that character in there. But that remains to be seen. Another thing that people aren't, necessarily thinking about is whether we're going to get involvement from Gallows and Anderson. We've heard that they're going to be, kind of backing AJ up here in this Boneyard match. So the next question then becomes, okay, is Undertaker going to, call on Kane, maybe Big Show, other people to kind of have on his side to, help even the odds if need be, if this just turns into a brawl.
Or maybe they just takes Gallows and Anderson's bones and uses that in the Boneyard match and just beats AJ to death with their own bones.
You really just want to see Undertaker hit somebody with a bone tonight, don't you?
I just want to see some form of bone.
No matter how cheesy it might look, you just want to see it.
I don't care if it's a freaking plastic bone from Dollar General. You give me that bone and you let me see it smashed over his freaking head. Okay, I'm done.
Okay,
going on
to work on your
to
phrasing,
the card.
but yeah.
And if you're just tuning in to the Eric Square Circle show, we've discussed about 6 matches, 7 matches. We're almost halfway there. You can still catch our show on our previous picks, and we're going to continue here. The next match that I am going to select for you to pick first, I do have my selection. We have the KO show versus Seth Rollins.
So I'm really excited for this match just because a couple of days ago on YouTube, they released some of the best promos that Steen and Tyler Black have had against each other over the years, and released a world title match of theirs from back in the day. So this one's got me excited. Kevin Owens is doing some of the best babyface work of his career, I think, at this point, which is saying something, just because he'd been known as one of those natural heels for so long, and he's got phenomenal chemistry with Seth Rollins, and I think that Rollins is kind of doing he's doing the best work of his career right now as a heel, just because everybody had kind of grown tired of the oh shucks, putting up the good fight, I'm gonna slay the beast, and kind of guy. So to see him kind of transform into this cult like leader and gather these followers, and for KO to basically say, I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid, and doing whatever he has to get under the skin of Seth Rollins is going to make for a great match. So thing is, I don't think that this is over between the two of them. I'm gonna go Seth Rollins for the win here.
I already started typing my selection out, so I got it first, baby. Yes,
But you
I also
asked me
select.
first.
I know, but you didn't say it until after I already typed it in. So, I also picked Seth Rollins. I just think with his heel run and the Authors of Pain, AOP there to help him, I don't really see. I
And
think it'll be a
Murphy.
good match, and Kevin Owens is really in a babyface role now for the first time since he's been in WWE, which is different, using his newly used stunner. So, I think it'll be a good match, but I think he'll get screwed. So it won't be a clean victory for Seth, but he'll win.
That's fair.
Going back to the women's division, 4
Yeah, we
matches
are.
at WrestleMania. A quarter of the show is the women's matches.
That's impressive when you put it that way. I never thought about that.
I like putting things in ways that you don't think about so much. We have the SmackDown Women's Championship. 5 women.
Yeah.
Fatal 5-way. I guess that you call a fatal 5-way.
It was supposed to be a 6-pack challenge, but Dana Brooke is self-isolating right now.
That's all right. Good for her. Bayley, the incumbent champion, versus Naomi, Lacey Evans, Tamina, and Sasha Banks. I can't say for sure, but I'm just going to throw a shot in the dark who I think is going to win. And I'm going to go with Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks. The bank statement. Take it to the bank.
So I really have not put a lot of thought into this match, and it certainly wasn't intentional. I think that
Clearly intentional.
It's mostly because I know what it is that I want to see. I don't know if they will give it to us.
Just
so
put yourself out there, buddy.
We've been teasing the split between Sasha Banks and Bayley for about a week now. If you really want to count kind of the initial announcement. But it's time to start the slow burn to this match. And certainly, the Rona run and interference doesn't help. But if we can get back to normal by SummerSlam, I'd love to see Bayley versus Sasha Banks and for them to finally get the time to do the match that we saw 5 years ago on TakeOver. They have been lobbying for this match for a while, and this is not a match that you'd get a lot of time on a WrestleMania card doing. So if they can use this 5-way match to sow the seeds of that split and dissension in the ranks, and really kind of start that blow up and get to WrestleMania or to SummerSlam and deliver, that 5-star classic that they're both capable of delivering, both of them would be a lot better for it. Bayley's doing some of the best work of her career as a heel in a way that I didn't think was possible. It was very hard to try to figure out how Bayley turns heel. Sasha Banks, it's been a little bit more on the stale side, and I don't know why that happens to be the case for her. It just seems that, she came back white hot after SummerSlam. We had all known why she went home, but we were just glad to have her back. For her to turn heel on Natty, everybody ate it up, and it just seems like it's gotten drier since then. Sasha is somebody that you can turn babyface and, really turn her not only into, elevate her to the, top of the division as a potentially babyface women's champion, but given, her family ties and everything that she can do from an entertainment pop culture standpoint as the cousin of Snoop Dogg / WWE superstar, there's a lot of marketability there that I think that they can use for Sasha as a babyface. But I think
you should say WWE Hall of Famer Snoop Dogg at this point.
I should. Yeah, sorry, Snoop. My bad. But yeah, I think that Bayley retains here. I think that it's going to be off of the efforts of Sasha Banks. Kicks this thing off.
Give me Say Bayley. That again. Who's your winner again?
So Bayley wins, but I think that it's going to be because of the work of Sasha Banks.
And then they'll start to disseminate.
Yeah.
Sticking in the women's division, the final women's match. The Kabuki Warriors in the women's tag team Championship versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I remember you mentioning a few days ago, if not like last week, a few episodes ago, about me having a crush. I don't really have any crushes. The only person I would seriously say in this entire world that I actually may have a little crush on, that's Alexa Bliss.
Yeah.
She is
call him,
just
bring him up, Alexa.
Crazy sexy, crazy awesome. Just
yeah,
love wrestling chicks, and she's just so good. I love it, and just so beautiful. But anyways,
no, go ahead. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Purely because I know that they've kind of been, they're kind of weird. Mostly Nikki Cross, but I like Nikki. I'm gonna go ahead and pick Alexa Bliss, just Alexa Bliss to win. Just because it's, God, it's blissful. I wish I miss the Bliss. I do. I miss seeing her. She is still hands down my favorite women's superstar, and that's even aside the sexiness factor. I just think she's really good and really entertaining as a superstar, and incredibly attractive as well. So, yes, I'm gonna go ahead and pick them.
So I'm also gonna pick Bliss and Cross.
Copycat, you freaking copycat.
No. Hear me out. Hear me out. Okay.
I've done it like 3 times.
I think the thing is, and I really like the Kabuki Warriors because this is one of the longer tag team title reigns that we've had. And this kind of dovetails into another discussion within a discussion. What we really haven't seen is what we were promised with the women's tag team titles as far as defenses across all 3 brands. We've seen Bayley and Sasha go to NXT once, maybe twice. But generally these belts have become a Raw and SmackDown property. And that's really disappointing just because there's a lot more that they could do because, the women's division generally thinner rosters across all 3 shows because that's just the general makeup of the women's roster. But, we're not seeing actual title defenses really on SmackDown or NXT, since they've become champions, at least not consistently anyway. So my question for you is, do you think that it'd be better to allow the champions to, go from brand to brand to brand to, find their own challengers? Or would you rather see, each brand alternate having exclusivity of the women's tag team titles?
I think that they should make it seem at least like the champion of the women's tag team should go to whatever brand they want to go to that week or that month or for that run for a specific feud, bouncing to whatever brand they want to bounce to, or like doing open challenges on every single program or a different program each week, once everything gets back to normal in this crazy world.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate. It really is because, there's a lot that the women's tag team championships can do for all 3 and we could even add a 4th brand if we want to consider NXT UK, and really, kind of giving everybody another title to compete for and to really get some great matches and television out of people that aren't necessarily getting the screen time that it is that they should. It just seems like even with putting the titles on a actual tag team such as the Kabuki Warriors, that they're just, they've seemed comfortable being complacent, I guess. And that's unfortunate because, women's tag titles are something that a lot of people lobbied for. And I think that with the right storyline and the right matches, you could do, you could get ladder matches, table matches, cage matches, do all of that same stuff for the tag team titles. Just they're just not getting the opportunity to do that, and that's just unfortunate.
They will. Things will turn up in the world and in wrestling industry itself. Sticking in the tag team essence, we do have a triple threat ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship, a potential show stealer being Saturday or Sunday night. John Morrison and The Miz.
I want to hop in. I know.
I gotta introduce the match.
Well, it's going to change anyway, so I'll let you finish.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
What I was trying to say is this is one of those matches that is likely going to change because the Miz, it was not part of WrestleMania. He was self-isolating at home for feeling sick, not necessarily COVID-19 symptoms, but nonetheless not going to be in this match by all reports. I'm hearing that it is likely going to be John Morrison versus one of the Usos or one person from each team in a triple threat, one person
Singles match?
and yeah, 3-man ladder match, more or
The
less.
championship's not going to be on the line.
No, with
Correct.
the tag team titles on the line, yes.
Huh.
Yes.
Singles matches. Huh. Interesting.
Like,
I
technically
don't think I've seen that before.
not a triple threat tag team match, I guess I should say.
Yeah, yes, I understand that. But
Just checking.
whoever wins, it goes to that respective tag team.
Yes.
No tagging, though. It's a tag team championship with no actual tagging.
Yeah.
Tag. So it's not technically true. It's not they don't tag anybody. It's just a championship match.
But it's
for 2 belts. For 2 titles. I'm going to go ahead and say with that development, I'm going to say John Morrison wins, or Miz and Morrison, since it won't, even though it won't be Miz and Morrison for me to win. Is it going to be a ladder match still?
From what I'm hearing, yes, it is still intended to be a ladder match.
Oh, that's nice.
We'll certainly find out this weekend. I mean, I like that there have not been too terribly many leaks as far as what it is that could happen over the next couple of days, with the exception of the fact that Braun's replacing Roman in the Universal Championship match. But here, I agree with you. You know, Miz and Morrison, retain them. I think that it's too early for them to lose these titles, especially when it's not a traditional tag team match. That, and also, if you have not watched the music video for Miz and Morrison's song Hey Hey, go find it on YouTube. It's actually kind of a banger. Kind of goes hard.
To the top of the charts. Let's hope. Again, staying in the tag team aura, we have the 3rd and final tag team match of the night. Again, I don't know if it's in any particular order, just the way that we're talking about it. It's the Raw's Tag Team Championship, which actually will be a tag team match with the Street Profits versus Angel Garza, and Austin Theory. No Andrade.
Who you got, buddy?
Look at the Profits, bruh. The Profits are going to reign supreme because they're so crazy. And they've only been Raw Tag Team Championship for like 2 months, if that, a couple months.
Yeah, this was supposed to be the coming out party for the Street Profits. I think, you know, getting the big win at WrestleMania, retaining the tag team titles, I think would have kind of, you know, launched them into that, you know, upper echelon of tag teams in WWE right now. If you want to, you know, put them in the conversation with, you know, the Usos, the New Day, as far as, you know, great workers, but also quality, you know, from an entertainment standpoint as well. Austin Theory replacing Andrade in this match. So, you know, you really wouldn't imagine that these guys really have a chance of winning the titles here, but this is quite an opportunity for Austin Theory. Austin Theory is only 23 years old right now, and is really, you know, taking NXT by storm right now, and you know, really high hopes for him and what he's going to do, you know, in 2020 and beyond. So this is, you know, big opportunity for him, but Street Profits by a mile tonight.
We have agreed on several of the last few matches, which we weren't doing so much on the initial matches. If you want to catch up on our predictions, please go back and listen to our long show. This is going to be a little bit longer show again because it is WrestleMania SuperShow. We are 11 matches down. We got 5 left to talk about. Next one I want to bring up is, again, was supposed to be something completely different, but things change. But it had nothing really to do with COVID-19. It was this match of Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley with Lana supporting him there. Mm-hmm. We had this whole Lana Rusev, Bobby Lashley taking Lana, this whole thing going on for months. It started to get kind of funny, but then, you know, Liv Tyler brought into it, and then Rusev just not contract being up, he's just not been on TV, so they've just completely gone off the rails. And now we have an Aleister Black Bobby Lashley match.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna pick Bobby Lashley, I guess, just because Vince McMahon loves big sweaty man, because he does, big sweaty man.
I'm gonna go Aleister Black, actually.
Finally, we disagree. Good Lord.
Yeah. You
I'm
make
not
it sound
picking
like it's such a bad thing.
I'm not picking Lashley because I want him to win. I'm picking because I expect him to win. I want Aleister Black to win.
So here's the thing. This is a Raw match, and Paul Heyman still wants to push Aleister Black and make him a big deal. So I'm gonna basically ride that until the wheels fall off. But the thing is that this match, we're really only getting this match because every WrestleMania we have two big battle royals, men's and women's. But given the Rona, they don't want to put 60 superstars' health at risk, and I can't say that I blame them. It's a lot easier to just say, we'll do some, theatrical pre-tape matches and try to get as many one-on-one bouts on the card as we can. But they're basically using the story of, here are two guys looking for a fight, and this match kind of just is what it's going to be. Love Aleister Black. I tolerate Bobby Lashley.
He's on a run. He's on a run though. Black, that is.
Not
so
really.
It's tough.
Oh well,
you want to continue this if he gets a big single wins for.
But the thing is, he continues to rack up single wins, but they're against enhancement talent that there's really not been a build to him being a credible championship contending superstar. And that's unfortunate because Aleister Black is all of that in spades. It just seems that, they've only started to do this and put him on TV and at least build up this streak again because they know they have the singles match coming up that, had it not been for current events, we weren't going to see anyway. So, I'm hoping that this is a better clash than I'm giving it credit for. I want Aleister Black to win, but, this isn't going to be a barn burner for me. I mean, I think this will probably be third or fourth match either night. Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, and I could see your pick very well happening. Going on to a match that I believe has happened, still is happening. Not really excited by this match, but it's going to happen. We have Elias, Walk with Elias versus King Corbin. King Corbin.
So we don't know that we're getting this match yet, though.
We don't know for sure.
It is still being advertised, but after last week of Corbin throwing Elias off the podium, again, the beauty of having pre-taped wrestling is you can do stuff like this. And no, I mean, as far as I know, I haven't heard any update, but I wouldn't imagine that this match takes place.
Let's say if it does take place and Corbin's facing somebody, I'm just going to say Corbin wins because clearly they're just trying to make him look huge. If they even do this match, might as well be safe rather than sorry.
Think I'm going to go Elias just because I'm done with Corbin. I'm done.
We all are, but it seems like Vince McMahon loves big sweaty King Corbin.
Look, and the thing is, like, I used to be a huge Baron Corbin guy, and the one thing I will say about him is that his work has gotten better as far as from an in-ring standpoint over the last few years. He does make me hate him genuinely as far as that character, which
good thing.
So he's doing his job. I'm not knocking him for doing his job or anything like that. I think my big thing is just I wanted to see if WWE could avoid the crutch of lazy storytelling of just making the King of the Ring winner a king gimmick, and it hasn't worked. I mean, they could they couldn't even get him a brand new theme song for this. They just incorporated Royal Regal horns that get edited haphazardly into his entrance theme. So they're really I don't know. I'm done with Corbin. I'm done with the King gimmick. Just go away for a while. Elias, save me.
Yeah, I will see. The last championship match that we have to talk about that's going to be on the card, since Andrade will not be competing for the United States Championship. We have the Intercontinental Championship of Sami Zayn, who is finally holding a championship, versus Daniel Bryan. Interesting matchup.
First time in
Honestly,
5
on
years.
paper, if you looked at this match 4 years ago on paper, I'd be like, oh my God, I
Make
still
my
love
money.
it. I still love it, and I still think it could be a very technically sound, good match that no one's talking about. And I'm going to go ahead and take Daniel Bryan getting his Intercontinental Championship back after 5 years when he had to relinquish it after WrestleMania 31.
So this is another one of those matches that I haven't really put a whole lot of thought about it I haven't thought about it much. Sorry, excuse me. Sami Zayn, I love what he's doing right now as far as this alliance with Shinsuke Nakamura and Cesaro, essentially using them as his heavies and being opportunistic when the time is right, much like he did with Braun Strowman to win the Intercontinental title. Daniel Bryan, I love what he's doing with Drew Gulak. I love the fact that he is just that guy that wants to work with, talent to help get them over and find other things for them to do. I mean, using Luke Harper as his heater for as long as he did was nothing short of genius. Here, I think it's a little bit different just because, Brie is pregnant, baby number 2, here sooner rather than later. I know that he has also talked about the end of his career coming sooner rather than later. Being a part-time superstar is kind of what seems to be more in his wheelhouse right now. So if you ask me, I think that he puts over Sami Zayn graciously. I'm willing to go a step further and say that this alliance between Nakamura and Cesaro somehow falls apart tonight as well.
If not tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah,
soon.
give me Sami Zayn retaining the Intercontinental title against Daniel Bryan.
Someone's going to have a really good night tonight and night tomorrow, and someone's going to have a really bad night. We'll see who it is, you or me.
Basically.
The final match that we have to talk about, and I swear I did not do this on purpose, that this being the final match we have to talk about. It's not like it's
to be fair, I wrote the list, though. So
true. But the final match, it seems like it's going to be the match for Mandy Rose's heart, is Otis versus Dolph Ziggler.
You didn't watch SmackDown last night, did you?
No, I told you I didn't watch it.
Bro, okay.
We were talking. We were pre-production meeting last night. Remember?
No, but here's the thing. So after we got off,
so it's not for Mandy's heart for anymore.
No, after we got off of Skype, there was a segment. So we had seen kind of the weird vignettes going on as far as weird static and things like that on SmackDown TV, and it turned out to be a hacker that said the truth will be heard. And we see what happened on Valentine's Day when there was supposed to be a date between Otis and Mandy Rose. And Sonya Deville sent the text messages to throw off the scheduling of the date so that Otis would show up and see Dolph Ziggler with Mandy, breaking the poor fellow's little heart and destroying her best friend in the process. So not only are we getting a great singles match that we would not have gotten under normal circumstances as far as, a singles WrestleMania match for Otis specifically. I think that Otis gets the big win here, especially, having not had Valentine's Day go his way. I think Otis, he has to walk out of here with the win. Dolph Ziggler is expendable at this point, I think, in his career. A loss doesn't really hurt him.
Mandy was playing both sides of the field the whole time, so she's
No, she wasn't playing both sides of the field. She thought that Otis had been standing her up, and Dolph shows up, so she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll have dinner with you. You showed up. This guy that I didn't. And here we are. It's because Sonya Deville set that entire train in motion. We don't know why, but
Sonya.
I think
Sonya!
This is really cool just because even though I'm bummed that we didn't get a Fire and Desire women's tag team title run, Mandy Rose has always been seen as somebody that can be the face of a women's division. Okay, she's got the look, she's gotten much better in the ring, over the years, and is somebody that you can legit build a division around and use her in a lot of different roles, and to spin her out as a monster babyface right now before WrestleMania and have her finally end up with Otis, you're off to the races, man. And Sonya Deville gets set up as that monster heel that just goes destroying everybody and everything in her path and basically becoming the Shayna Baszler-esque counterpart for SmackDown. I'm in for that.
I'm in for it. I do hope Otis wins. He's the underdog, even though in the match itself, he's definitely not the underdog. And so, yeah, I got Otis. I got the lovable big man, husky boy, to win the match. And that is all of our matches. We have discussed them all in the last hour plus. Kind of wrapping up the show itself, the Eric Squared Circle show. Please check it out as often as you can if you like wrestling, or if you're just intrigued by wrestling since there's nothing else on. Eric, how should we as fans or just wrestling talent remember this WrestleMania show?
So this is the most unique wrestling show that I think that any of us will see in our lifetimes. I don't think that we will ever see, at least not in my lifetime, I don't think that we will ever see a Tate no audience WrestleMania ever again.
Let's hope not.
It's weird time. You're right. You're right. I should say let's hope that we don't. But for them to keep going, and for them to decide that, or at least for Vince anyway, to decide that the show must go on no matter how you feel about that decision, I'm here for it. If they're going to provide this to me in this time, I'm certainly going to watch it. I'm not going to, sit thinking about, the safety measures that WWE is taking in place, and putting in effect to protect their talent. I know that they're doing something. The thing is, a lot of people are just, trying to find solace in it. There's a really cool meme I saw the other day about, everybody thinks that this pandemic and this quarantine, you should come out of this with a new skill or finding some way to maximize the productivity that comes with this time as far as not having to be anywhere. And for some people, that's not necessarily always the case. You and I have been fortunate enough to take this time to look at ways that we can improve this podcast and what it is that we do and what we present to the people that follow and support us, and we're both very fortunate and grateful for that time. However, there are others that don't necessarily get that luxury to be able to do that during this time. There are people that are still trying to figure out how their life is going to continue, and what are they going to do to make ends meet during these times of uncertainty. And one thing that WWE, no matter what you think about the decision to run WrestleMania, is Vince McMahon has always been that guy that wants to provide entertainment and comfort and solace in a time of uncertainty. And that's what we're living right now. This is no different. Was it the right decision to, have the show go on? No one's really ever going to know the answer. There's really no right or wrong answer, I don't think, to this question. One thing that I think that people aren't thinking about either is that when you think of everybody that we've heard, test positive for coronavirus, I mean, we've had people in the NFL, NBA. I don't think we've had baseball yet, but we've had athletes, we've had entertainers. There's not been one reported case of coronavirus in wrestling yet, not that I know of anyway, and I hope that continues. But I think that this is just going to be remembered as a show that was unlike any other, simply because of reasons beyond their control. I think that this is something that they will certainly try to maximize the production and maximize the entertainment value of what it is that we'll see tonight. So I'm optimistic, but this will be one for the ages, that's for sure.
It will be. And Want to thank you all for tuning in for any amount that you could have tuned into. Watching us are my face, Eric's lovely face. I mean, look at him. He's beautiful. My shirt's
I
better,
feel
though.
like I'd be no. I think that actually, if you guys want to look at our shirts, see who wore it better, ericsquaredcircle@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. I've got the Shawn Michaels Iron Man match from 1996. New Day Bootios t-shirt. But yeah, who wore it better? ericsquaredcircle@gmail.com. Happy WrestleMania Day, buddy.
Happy WrestleMania weekend, my friend.
Stay safe out there, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
See ya.
Hey everyone, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Eric Squared Circle Show. If you liked what you heard, take a quick second to leave us a review, and if it's a 5-star, we'll read it on the air. We really want to hear from you guys, so if you have a question, trivia, interview ideas, or any other suggestions, we want to hear them. Shoot us an email at ericsquaredcircle@gmail.com. And don't forget, you guys are the reason that we do this show. It's the ultimate show by Smarks, for Smarks, so what's not to love? Let's keep the discussion going on Twitter using the hashtag E2SC, and join our server on Discord. Last but not least, subscribe to our YouTube channel and make sure you turn on notifications, because you'd be crazy to miss anything it is that we're doing right now.